Hello, I'm Georgina Robinson. I'm here with Michael Gleeson once again after a really eventful day at the track. Michael, what was going on with the pole vaulters?
Well, the pole vaulters, the first and foremost what was going on is that Steve Hooker was pole vaulting. Steve Hooker got it up and he got in the air and he was flying again, and that was the most important thing. Then it became a game of tactics. Hooker, as we know, there'd been questions on where he was quite at. He jumped again in Poland and recorded a good height. So the feeling was he was going to be ready to go. This morning he answered that and he said, yep, I'm here. He was confident enough to pass at his first two heights. And then he came in at 550 and it was a really confident jump. It wasn't his best jump ever, but it was really smooth. He got over very easily, plenty of room to spare. It was a good, strong jump.
And it was reassuring.
Reassuring, absolutely, because it reinforced that idea, he's back and he's here. And what further reinforced that, though, is the events that then took place, which were fascinating. Because the tactics that were at play then, it was more about trying not to jump than to jump. They were trying to conserve their energy. Hooker said afterwards that was exactly what it was. I didn't want to jump if I didn't have to. Now, they're a tight group, the pole vaulters, and they realised that they could work the rules, that even though 12 jumpers, 12 vaulters go through and qualify, there's some room for manoeuvre, some room to massage the numbers out a bit if need be. And they worked out that with the way things stood, with the number of failed attempts that each of them had, there was a certain group, a critical mass that could go through if they all stuck firm and said, we're all going to pass this one, and then we're all going to pass the next. In the meantime, some jumpers, they had to wait for the Frenchman and the Belgian to clear those two heights, those two top heights, and then there was the room for the officials to say, okay, yes, all this massive jumpers can go through. So more numbers went through than would have normally be the case. So it looked quite weird because they were basically trying to have a sit-in to do it, but it's not uncommon in pole vaulting, particularly.
So tell me why you can do it in pole vaulting, but you can't sort of say, well, we want 5 people to go through to the 100 metres sprint final.
Well, I suppose it's a matter of the number of failed attempts. If jumpers both go through on the one height, do you continue to push the numbers out and have them jumping 7 metres before you weed the numbers out? It's just got that flexibility. I'm not sure why there is exactly that degree of flexibility, but it's there, and it's a common tactic within pole vaulting. But I suppose the interesting thing was that Hooker was the shop steward, and that was he was the one that was commanding the boys, and he was pulling them in, saying, look, if we all stick firm here, this is how it's going to play out. And it did play out that way. And look, he spoke afterwards and said, well, that's how it is, and it's not illegal, it's not an uncommon thing, but it's unusual because we're normally seeing it, in big competition, and we're not normally seeing pole vault on the TV. But it was fascinating to watch. And
it's fascinating. And he really had to go from different camps. He went over to the coaches at one stage, talked to another athlete's coach as well. That's right.
He said, we've got to stay firm. And he went, because some of the coaches were like, hang on, this might work against you, this might work, and it's that sort of Mexican standoff. You've got to stand there and go, right, we're all going to do it. And I suppose it's the same in any union. You can't allow someone to break. So
net result, how many people are going through to the final now?
There'll be 14. There's normally 12. And that's sort of what Steve said afterwards, that what the vaulters want to do is make sure the most get through, and they're all jumping as high as they can. They're a bit more collegiate and clubby in the vaulting community than they are in other fields. And so, it's an interesting thing, and they've got more jumpers going through. But put the tactics aside, the most important thing about today was that Steve Hooker was up in the air again, and he was looking like his old self. He's a reigning Olympic gold medalist, so, there's a sneaky chance that Australia is not out of the medals on the track yet.
And that's exciting. You can tune into the blog really early on Saturday morning to see the pole vault final. But before all of that happens, we've got a couple of really exciting events. We've got the men's 4x400 relay qualifying, and we've got the Australian guys in that after some pretty controversial selection decisions. And then on Friday morning, if you can get up, we've got Usain Bolt seeing if he can go the double-double in the 200 metres men's sprint. See you later.